power of weaponry.
Many have actually been saying we're already
because
in it.
Of the power of
The Hill
weaponry.
published a piece saying we are in World War III and Biden is losing it. And so my hope is I don't see any logical path for a Biden presidency to fix the economy, to fix anything.
He can't fix any, he can't fix himself.
Yeah.
Can't fix anything.
He had a new one the other day, Pack-a-lack-a-lack. I don't know if you saw that. He was muttering on TV, something like that. Now,
I was like, is that an opinion piece? Oh, wow. What's this? It was an opinion piece. Opinion. The views expressed by the contributors are their own and not the view of the Hill. The beanie versus Trump. This is a massive moment. So, Tim Pool went to the Libertarian convention, and there he spoke to RFK Jr. I'm not going to be going through because it's obviously a long interview, but you know they had some conversations. We can play a little
there are
sample
deep
of it.
concerns
Just
about
get a
the
flavor.
birth rate, fertility rate, and that is abortion. Abortion is an existential crisis, especially when we're looking at less than replacement rates for this country.
What do you
That's a very loaded question out of start. So, hey, by the way, there's a big problem with people not having as many babies. And so I think abortion is the cause of that. It's the crisis. People would be having those babies if women, you know, didn't have bodily autonomy. And so what do we got to do there? You know, that's certainly something to think about. It's like people aren't having kids because they can't fucking afford it. That's why. People don't have just like $100,000 lying around to be able to properly raise a kid, provided with food, shelter, adequate care, health care. Not to mention in a lot of parts of the United States, what does it cost? Like $10,000 to $15,000 just to give birth? That's just the birth itself. We're not talking about all the meetings that you're going to have beforehand, the ultrasounds, the screenings, all of that. Yeah, we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars in medical expenses. That's in addition to the raising the child itself. That is probably playing a much larger role than abortions.
First of all, I don't disagree with you on abortion. I want to do everything we can to end abortion. Our plan, which is more choice, more life, is about addressing the fact that 52% of abortions in this country are among women who say that one of the major factors was their inability to afford a baby. And I want to make sure.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
Sure that is not their consideration. But let me ask you this. When you say the fertility problem is due to abortion, what do you mean by that?
Well, it's compounded by it. So
even RFK Jr. brains worm himself. He's like, but wait, what are you saying? That's a weird correlation to make.
And it's because fewer people are having babies.
yeah, I don't think abortion is the principal reason we're facing a
It's a
replacement level
factor,
price
There's a
problem.
global fertility
Right.
issue right now.
But
I would say that has to do with toxics in the environment, and
Plastics in the balls.
Well, there's a lot of stuff. There's
That's true. That was in the news.
no.
It's true. Plastic in the balls, worms in the brain.
No, there's PFAs, there's forever chemicals, there's astrazine, there's microplastics in male
There's all these
testicles, there's
endocrine
fluoride, there's glyphosate. Out of all these things, what do you think is the biggest concern? Because there's a lot of things in our
for
environment.
fertility.
When it comes to when it comes
Yeah. What the fuck are y'all talking about? You brought me on here to talk about ball plastic? You know, I wasn't prepared for this, but yeah, I will be releasing a book on why ball plastics are taking over the universe.
to our larger
Toxic
health
forever.
crisis, do you think it's PFAs, forever chemicals, astrazine, fluoride, microplastics,
I'll tell
glyphosate?
you.
So this basically, I'm sure, went on as you can tell, that was just a little sample. And then after speaking to RFK Jr., he had some other guests, and then eventually the big moment arrived.
President, this is your seat we have for you right here.
How are you? Nice
I'm very good. Nice to see you. We met at Mar-a-Lago a couple weeks ago.
I remember.
Yeah, you complimented my face. I really do appreciate it.
Your beauty.
If you can hear it, they weren't totally mic'd up. He says, we met at Mar-a-Lago, remember? And he's like, you complimented my face. And then Trump said, you're a beauty. And then I noticed he did wear his formal beanie. This doesn't seem like the regular beanie. Normally there's not a little logo right there. So this is, this is him dressing up.
Thanks for sitting down. I really do appreciate
Okay.
it. So I know you don't have a lot of time, so I'll just we'll jump right in.
Okay, good.
We had a couple polls we went over on our show, IRL. Young people, surprisingly, immigration is a top issue for them now. I was talking to a young guy, he's 26. He says he's watching what's going on in New York. He owns a business. He can't afford to buy his own house. He struggles to be able to support a family.
Country. So we're going to start with that, and we have to get them out. No country can sustain what we're going through. I believe the number is 15, 16 million, could even be 17 million people right now.
Is
And
that
that's more than that's bigger than almost all of our states.
So apparently there's 17 million, mostly convicts, that are just running into the United States due to its open border policy. Just like charging right in there. Naruto run style.
it's freaking out young people? How do we do it though? I mean, is it going to be new personnel?
Freaking out young people? Well, yeah, the lie sounds scary. I mean, when you say that there's millions of gang members, convicts, people who have a variety of mental health issues, they are literally millions of them, millions and millions. Nearly 2/3 of the population of Canada is just running into the United States. That does sound pretty scary.
Do we?
It will really be done with local police. You know, the respect has been taken away. The honor has been taken
Wait, sorry, does America not have local police now? And is there not institutions in place already for this?
away from our police forces. They're not allowed to do anything. And whether it's libertarian or not libertarian, people you have to have law and order. You can't have 500 people walking into a department store and just walking out with everything they have. And we have to give honor and respect back.
And that's what the other side's proposing then. This is wild. So what we've learned from Trump, with zero pushback from Tim Pool so far, is that there are literally 11 to 17 million, based on his estimates, convicts and murderers who are running into the United States, and they're just running into stores and stealing everything they want, and there's absolutely no recourse or mechanism to stop any of this, is basically the current state of the United States.
And I believe immunity because, so often when a police person does their job, they end up with no pension, they end up with no house, they end up with no family, everything's...
Again, I mean, this is perfect for Tim Pool. I mean, he's doing what Tim Pool does on a show. He's basically taking 5 or 6 things that he knows people are very worried and concerned and scared of, blending them all together, changing topics, going on to a completely new one, and then just doing it kind of as if it's seamless, but like these things aren't actually interconnected. It's just a lot of things will scare people. Like you're scared of Mexicans, right? Kinda. You're scared of the gang members, sure. You're scared of millions of gang members suddenly coming into the country. What about people who are looting? What about looters? And what about the fact that the cops can't stop the looters because the police aren't funded, and they also don't have pensions, and they're not protected from stopping real criminals? Because Brandon,
taken away from them. They have to get their own lawyer. So we're going to give them back their dignity and their strength. The local police know the criminals that we're talking about. They know their first name.
see, even if you were a Trump supporter, this would be a really easy moment to be like, why are you saying that millions of illegal criminals are crossing into the United States, and the solution to that is local police forces? Like, what about ICE? What about border guards? What about the wall? All the popular points. It kind of seems like you wanted to talk about how pro-police you are, and so you've added that as a secondary part.
Their middle name and their last name. They know everything about them. And we're going to have to let them do that. And they will bring them in. We have no choice. And these are in many cases, and this is from all over the world, not just South America, which is big enough. But they're coming in from the Congo. They're coming in from all parts of Africa. They're coming in from all parts of Asia. And it's an invasion into our country.
Wow. Yeah. And then all the scary parts of the world, all the parts I know that, again, racists are going to listen to and be like, wait, what? Countries in Africa? That means black people. Wait, he said South America? What? We can't have them in here. What? They're replacing us.
And no country can handle this. So we're going to have them taken out. Local police, we're going to work very closely with the local police. And it's
Have them taken out. Okay.
been done before. We had Dwight Eisenhower.
By the way, again, if you were to look this up, you can use your Googles to find this out. The majority of legal immigrants in America actually arrive legally, and they overstay their visas. They usually come over for a work prospect, and that's how there's a massive number of undocumented immigrants to the United States. It's not because there are millions of Mexican gang members and prison ex-cons who are being released from prison specifically to enter the United States as some kind of weird partnership, I guess, between Mexico and the U.S.
Eisenhower, believe it
Most
or
arrive
not,
by plane.
did the biggest deportation. He pretty much stopped it. Strange that we mentioned Eisenhower because you don't think of him that way, but he did a massive deportation where people were pouring in.
The next big question that we get a lot is there's two components to this. The first is me, many of the libertarians here, we want to see firings. We want to see in the bureaucracy
Yeah, true,
corrupt
I agree.
individuals, the bloat. On top of that, without getting into the specifics for obvious
he's
reasons, the things that
he's nervous.
they're doing to you.
And this is the most softball interview ever. It's like, okay, so a lot of people are concerned about the border. Talk about that for 5 minutes. Okay, next question. All right.
With the court system is not just to you, it is to me, it is to everyone who voted for you in 2020.
It's true.
Are we going to get some good personnel in as Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General, and in the CIA?
So is Tim just like a full-blown like truther when it comes to the election now? Is he just fully on board with the election was stolen?
Right.
And see some prosecutions?
So we had some great people because our trade numbers were fantastic. The jobs we did on trade, the jobs we did, frankly, in the military underneath the terrible television generals who were absolutely terrible, but we have incredible people. You know, we defeated ISIS, and we had no new wars because they were concerned with us. I had no wars.
You defeated ISIS
at all. I
Impressive.
finished off a war that we were in for 20 years, but we had no wars, and we have to get the right people.
You bombed an Iranian general. It's pretty clear cut, an act of war. Like, thank fuck they didn't declare war on the United States, probably because the incredible might and power of the U.S. Army. But still, not exactly
It's
like,
all about the people.
you know, the peace president here.
So when I first came here, I was only in Washington 17 times in my life. All of a sudden, I'm president. And I really knew nobody. I relied on people. Some were good, some were rhinos, some gave us some bad advice. And generally speaking, we had very good people. But we had some that we have to do better. Attorney General, we have to get a great Attorney General. And I'd work with the Libertarian Party on that. I think it's very good because, you know, I view the Libertarian Party as almost a party of common sense, largely of common sense. And I say that about the Republican Party, too. We're a party of common sense. You want borders, but you want fairness. You want a lot of things that a lot of other people don't talk about. So we will work with a lot of people to get the right people in. The difference is I now know sort of everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm not having to be relying on people that I didn't know very well and listen to their recommendations. And I think we're going to have phenomenal people. I know the people. I know the good ones, the bad ones, the weak ones, the strong ones. I think we're going to have great people.
We're friends with Kash Patel. He was on the show just before you, and that gives me a lot of confidence.
Yeah. Well, Kash is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's an example of a good one.
Yep.
We have some great people, but Kash was a great example. Devin Nunes, as you know, he's fantastic.
Absolutely.
We have so many great people.
So when it came to foreign policy, I'll be honest, I didn't vote for you in 2016. I was jaded. Obama let me down. I'm from Chicago. I thought 2016 was silly. And then in 2020, with the timeline for getting out of Afghanistan,
Right.
when you tried to get our troops out of Syria, my question is, why are we in Syria? Who even knew?
Yeah.
And they lied to you, and they lied to us about the number of troops in there. And so maybe it's a bit blunt for me to say I want to see people prosecuted for the lies to the American people. But in terms of foreign policy, perhaps it's a little bit of a biased interview, but I think you're the greatest president of my lifetime.
I appreciate it.
And
I mean, goddamn. You know, maybe wait until the interview's over before you blow your load. I mean, were you just hoping to finish with little post-nut clarity there?
ending the wars that we should not have been involved in. Now the fear is World War III.
Yeah.
What are you looking at when you enter your next term to stopping the escalation?
Well, first of all, I'm the only one that is going to stop World War III because this man can't put two sentences together. He doesn't know what he's doing, doesn't know where he is. And amazingly, it seems like he's going to be running. You know, it's a lot of people say, do you think he'll make it to the starting gate? Well, we'll see what happens. But if you look at Viktor Orban, because we don't want to see wars. I don't want to see wars. I was in no wars other than we finished a war with ISIS and we completed it, 100% complete. But I don't want to see wars.
And just, again, to be completely fair and or balanced, Donald Trump and his administration ramped up the drone strikes to an even higher level than Obama, and they didn't lower until Biden came into power.
I think it's so horrible, so unnecessary, so costly in terms of lives and money in that order, and destroying these countries. You know, you're destroying culture. When you look at Ukraine, that would have never happened if I were president. You look at the October 7th attack on Israel, it would have never happened.
What does that mean? Are you implying that Russia wouldn't have illegally invaded Ukraine, or that you just would have been like, fuck them, and then Ukraine just would have fallen and been annexed? Is that what you mean?
Why are I look at your policies, I see secure the borders, bring jobs back. I look at the Democrats and many Republicans, and it's foreign war and foreign expansion.
That's right.
What is that?
I think it's just a failed mentality. It's crazy. You can solve problems over a telephone. Instead, they start dropping bombs. I see recently they're dropping bombs all over Yemen. You don't have to do that. You can talk in such a way where they respect you and they listen to you. Viktor Orban of Hungary, the leader they
You sound bringing up Viktor Orban. It's like the third time he's invoked him.
call him a strong man. Who cares if he's a strong man or not a strong man? He's a very powerful guy. He said the problem the world has is that Donald Trump is no longer president. When he was president, China didn't play around, Russia didn't play around.
He said a lot of things. One of the things he also talked about is how, like, the blood of migrants is poisoning their society. He's pretty extreme racist. But I guess, yeah, it's all part and parcel.
Libertarian Party National Convention, they had one of their, I believe one of their presidential nominees said he wants to see Fauci, the heads of Moderna, Pfizer, Biden, and you locked up for what happened during COVID. I don't agree with them, but there is a big sentiment. But Elon Musk tweeted, prosecute Fauci. Fauci lied to Congress about the gain of function research that was going on, and now we have testimony.
Well, I'm the one that stopped.
I was going to say, this is going to be kind of contentious, finally, because on one end, Donald Trump is not one of the anti-vaxxers, but Tim Pool's definitely bought into the entire world and ecosystem of anti-vaxxers. But Trump does know that that is a very valuable voter demographic to not fuck with. The same thing with like Pierre up in Canada. He's not fucking with the anti-vaxxers, even if he himself is vaccinated. He'll just be like, I believe in freedom. I believe every Canadian deserves to be free. So,
up the funding, and this was funding from before me. I'm the one that stopped the funding. Fauci wasn't a big player in my administration like he was after I left. I mean, Biden made him the king of everything. And if you take a look at that,
and there's the play. There you see it, right? I stopped the funding. Okay, let's not talk about Project Warp Speed or anything like that. But then I did stop it, and then it was Biden who really gave Fauci superpowers. Yeah, I was trying to restrict his powers, but it was Biden who gave him superpowers.
Fauci was not the big player with me that he was. And in fact, I did things that he didn't want to do. He wanted to keep.
Yeah, he had the exact same job. Don't bring facts into this. Come on. He already said that apparently, the United Nations is spending way less than the U.S. when it comes to Ukraine funding.
But open to China, I said, you got to close it to China because it was all coming out of China. It was coming out of Wuhan, which I said right at the beginning. But the other thing is, and what people don't realize, I believe in federalism. I gave the power to governors. Some governors did a great job. In all cases, they were Republicans. And some, like in South Carolina, Henry McMaster, kept everything open.
Yeah, so, I mean, if I was to pull up graphs right now, would it show where the largest amounts of deaths occurred under COVID? Would it be the states that happened to be the reddest? The ones that didn't want to impose any restrictions whatsoever?
Everything open. Others didn't. The Democrats did a bad job, very bad job. But basically, I gave that power over the states. I gave it to the governor. I gave it back to the states. And I think it's something which, when people realize that, it's something that they respect.
Will there be accountability for the lying to Congress when you get to appoint your new AG, deputy AG?
Yeah, and we'll take a look at statute of limitations because, the statute of limitations are quite long. And we're going to be looking at that very seriously, yeah.
I got one big question for you. So part of my family comes from Korea.
Good.
And you did what I think is one of the most tremendous things. You crossed the demilitarized zone into North Korea with no security as a sign of goodwill and peace with the hostile nation. And I've had people tell me it never happened. So I think people need to know about it. I'm wondering if you can just tell me how did that happen? How did it come to be?
And it hasn't happened.
Yeah, no, it's like, good. People tell you that never happened. I think you might be surrounding yourself with conspiracy theorists who are like, no, it was fake.
Been since.
Yeah.
And when I met with, with the handoff, you sort of meet with the previous president for a period of time. The meeting lasted for quite a while. With President Obama, you sit in the Oval Office and you talk, and the press is outside, and you talk for a little while. He said the single greatest threat we have is North Korea. And I said, have you called them? Have you tried to talk to them? You know, little things like that. And didn't matter what the answer was. He felt that that was the single biggest threat in the world was North Korea. And as you know, there was certain hostility when I first started, and all of a sudden it boiled down to something that was very beautiful, the way it happened. And I got along with him very well. And I will say that if Hillary won that race, you would have had a nuclear war and millions of people would have been killed.
We'll just have to take your word for it, Mr. President.
And you weren't even close to that. It never happened. It was never going to happen. I got
Again, if you want to know what the neoliberal policies towards North Korea are going to be, the same things they always are. There's a bunch of sanctions. North Korea, once or twice a year, does a very frightening test where they'll fire missiles over Japan, at which point this is usually the same time that they're also looking for international aid. Yeah, it's just like a song and dance cycle that repeats itself. I despise and hate fucking Hillary Clinton. Yes, warmongering Hillary Clinton. I don't think that she was going to launch a nuclear war with North Korea immediately, just to, you know, just as a jumping off point.
along great with him.
Day one.
And it just never was going to happen.
Were you at all scared in any way when you...
Yeah, he was also the president. I mean, I'm just now starting to have all these horrifying flashbacks to what the Trump administration was like, where it was just such a scary moment where every day you'd have all these insiders leaking stuff to, you know, The Intercept, Politico, and other outlets, where it's just like, yeah, he doesn't pay attention. He has no idea what's going on. We have to, like, actually cater to the way that he absorbs information. So our presentations now have, like, just lots of pictures and, like, animations and shiny things so that he doesn't get bored. And we constantly have to explain things to him, like, no, you can't use the nukes. No, you cannot use nuclear weapons in this regard. No, it'd be very dangerous if you were to do that. There's no such thing as, like, a safe nuclear war, that kind of shit.
Crossed into an enemy country.
Well, I wouldn't say that Secret Service was thrilled. And in those blue buildings, there were lots of people in those buildings that I looked at. You know, the two blue buildings on each side with the windows. And I looked in those windows, and there were a lot of things happening in those. Someday I'll tell you about it. But no, I felt very safe. I felt my relationship with him, as you know, was very hostile. Little Rocket Man and all that. But then all of a sudden it morphed. He respected me. I respected him. And we ended up, once we got to know each other, we ended up very good. A very smart guy, very strong guy. He's the absolute leader of that country. You know, for those that think he's not, they're wrong. And I got to know him very
Who thinks that? No one thinks that.
well. I even did a press conference. He never did a press conference before. I said, would you like to do a press conference? And we did a press conference, if you remember. And then he said, that's the end of the press conference. And boom, everybody was pretty radically thrown out. But it was a press conference, the only press conference he's ever done. I got along with him great. We had no nuclear war. You would have had a nuclear war guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
And you won't if we have the right president, if we have somebody that knows what he's doing, you're not going to have World War III. If, on the other hand, we don't, you're going to end up in World War III, and it's going to be a war like no other because of the power of weaponry.
Many have actually been saying we're already in it.
Because of the power of
The Hill
weaponry.
published a piece saying we are in World War III and Biden is losing it. And so my hope is I don't see any logical path for a Biden presidency to fix the economy, to fix anything.
He can't fix himself.
Yeah.
Can't fix anything.
He had a new one the other day, Pack-a-lack-a-lack. I don't know if you saw that. He was muttering on TV, something like that. Now, crypto.
You know, by the way, I just so you know, I know all the leaders.
I was like, is that an opinion piece? Oh, wow. What's this? It was an opinion piece. Opinion. The views expressed by the contributors are their own and not the view of the Hill. But the Hill just reported.
They're
Deceptive.
at the top of their game. They're sharp. They're tough. They're smart. They love their country, or they do whatever they have to for their country at a minimum. And when they see this guy come in, I think they can't believe it. I know they can't believe it. It's not the right person.
So we'll do a couple quick ones. We don't have much time. You announced you're taking cryptocurrency.
What we're doing is we're backing it as a form of, as a field. And we have to, because
Backing
otherwise
it as a
somebody else
field?
is going to be doing
A
it from
field of
another
what?
country. And as you know, they're already trying. And it's going to happen, and we're going to help it happen. And it's something that can be very good. I think it can be very good.
No central bank digital currencies.
No digital, no central bank.
And one
Wait, sorry. You gotta at least ask some follow-up questions here. It's like, yeah, we're introducing that as a field. A field of what, pray tell? A field of economics? Are you saying that you're going to introduce it as some kind of rival to the U.S. currency? Are you going to normalize cryptocurrencies? You're going to legislate them? What do you mean by that?
More big one. Will you pardon Julian Assange?
Well, I'm going to talk about that today, and we're going to give it very serious consideration.
He wouldn't have, he was the president for 4 years. He pardoned tons and tons of people. Didn't he pardon, or Matt Gates he pardoned Bannon, but he didn't pardon Matt Gates. But either way, he pardoned tons of people. He's had that opportunity.
And we're going to have a couple of other things to say in the speech that I think you're going to love.
I've heard some rumors.
And you've gotten so much out of me, I should leave a little bit for the speech, don't you think?
Mr. President, it is an honor and a privilege. I really do appreciate you sitting down with me.
And you're very respected, I have to say. When I did a little research, and some of my guys said, and I met you before, but they said just a very
I did a little research. Very respected.
Respected guy. It's my honor. Even though we're keeping that big crowd, that's the biggest crowd they've ever had. We're keeping them waiting just for this interview, so congratulations.
Thank you so much. Shall we?
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much.
Oh, wow. The beanie's glowing.
Great.
It's a big day for Pool.
You got my vote.
We better win.
You got my vote.
We're not going to have a country.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that was already assumed, you know? I mean, you spent the middle part of that entire interview being like, I didn't vote for you in 2016, but all I got to say is, I'll be honest with you. And maybe this is unbiased, but you're the best president of my lifetime.
Howdy, everybody. I just wanted to let you know that for the cost of a cup of coffee, you can unlock bonus uncensored episodes of Mind Explosions by going to patreon.com/theserfs. Our videos couldn't exist without your support, and all our content is released early to our Patreon subscribers, as well as a ton of extra content you can't get anywhere else. Please like, subscribe, and thumbs up this channel, and if you're feeling extra perky, share it anywhere you think people would like to see or learn from our videos. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We first want to give a shout out to everyone who makes this show possible. This program is produced thanks to the generous support of our Patreon supporters: Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbar Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Peanut Butter Blondie, Political Poppy, Preston Kroll, Quite 185, Richard Bomey, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Ruby, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demmel, Travis McClinton, and Words Greenwood, as well as every other person you see on the screen right now. This show would not be possible without them. And if you want to join these wonderful people who make this entire program possible, simply go to patreon.com/theserfs and you can unlock uncensored and bonus episodes and, help us exist.